So we got, what are we seeing here? We're seeing, I mean, I have the feeling that Bitcoin is at 42,430. It's been there, for quite a while, even though if we're looking here at the hourly, we can see that there has been, all the way up touching 43,000. But currently at 42,400 and down 0.5%. If we look at Ethereum is square. And don't forget, I love Ethereum, and I do believe that Ethereum is going to be, it's going to be the settlement layer of the future of finance. Solana, we got at 94. It was also, really holding on there. And then we got those beautiful dots at $6.6 down 0.6. So not a whole lot going on. If we look here at the week, if we look at the daily, that's what we looked at last time, right? It's been going up, but if we look at, since December, it's more or less sideways, and I can feel like an eternity. What is this here? This is the weekly with the 7-day moving average. And as you know, I like to look at that. Just gonna put it here in order a little bit as well. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, very low volume. What we like to look at here is that we are struggling to, we can see here this week, well, we just started, right? So kind of, as long as I feel as long as we are above the 7-day moving average, we don't have anything to fear. But nevertheless, if we look where and I think this is important, if we look where we came from back when we kind of identified the low, time flies, right? Time flies, because I remember that I did, we did call the low when it went. There was a time when we thought it could hit 12,000 based on historical numbers. But I do remember when we saw the 15,000 hit in November 2022, and we are in 24 now. Because if you would have asked me like that when we hit the 15,000, I would have said, yeah, that's maybe 5-6 months ago. But wow, it's more than a year ago, which is also important. We will get back to that in a second. But so from November 2022, right? Remember when we said, okay, I believe that this is the bottom. Let's get in. We've had look at that. It's gone up, 200% almost. That's not bad, right? That's not bad. And I don't think we're going to, go back to this 15. I don't know what would have to happen. So we are, if you look at it like that, we are pretty, I would say it's good. It's not bad. And I believe that it's only a matter of time until we're going to attack that 60, 70,000. And I don't think it's going to, can't be that long, which I thought, why don't we go in and look at some stats that we've been talking about in the past about the bull and the bear cycles, because it's been a while since we spoke about that. Let me just find them before we say hello and all that. Here we go, quick. So we have always talked about the Bitcoin historical corrections, right? And this is, I'm not going to go through the 13, 15 and the 17 and 18, but here, this is why that in November that we kind of, I couldn't see it go much further down to the 12, and that's why we kind of called it with 15 and said it's probably the end. And there we were 77% from the previous all-time high, which was recorded in November 2021. So in November 2022, around the 16,000, this is when we called the bottom. But that's dead. That's that. So that was the end, which has been confirmed now for more than a year, that was the end of that bear cycle. So for us, and this is more interesting, and if you are new to this channel, because if you were with me the entire 2023, this is, we looked a lot at this slide, but we haven't been looking at that for a while. So Bitcoin's historical bull markets. Now we're going to go in from 2010 to 2013. It was 1,399 days. From 13 to 17, it was 1,461 days. And from 17 to 21, it was 1,431 days. So, and these are the days from when we saw the low until we saw the new all-time high. And we can see here that there's been more than 3 cycles in Bitcoin, even though I like to call this the third cycle, because this is kind of, since I started this channel and yeah, anyway, and Web3 and so on. So we call it the third cycle. That is why if we look at these historical, let's say, numbers, amount of days, which is why it would make sense. And since we were spot on in order to identify the low of the market, now we could see here the low of the market, first it was 85% from its all-time high, and then it was 83, and then now only 77. So of course it will always vary, and timing is the most difficult. So, but if we should count from the low that we saw in 2022 November, and then if we add 1,430 days, that would approximately take us to October 2025. I could be a little bit before, a little bit after, or I could also be completely wrong. Remember, everything I say and do should not be considered financial advice, because as you know, I don't know shit about crypto. But, and this is also why do we then down here have Bitcoin 200,000 by October 2025? Now, I actually think it could perhaps even go to somewhere between 200 to 250. But that's simply because usually Bitcoin will always triple in price. So, last time was 70. So let's see it around 200, 240. And the only thing is that should we be right and even go through the 150, probably at that time, that's when we're going to start selling again. Anyway, so I hope that this, so we shared that. Let's go back here. I have to go say hello to the chat. But so we looked at the Bitcoin chart, and let's see what's going to happen. But so we are already more than a year in since we saw the turnaround, right? So in October 2025 is just around the corner, if you think about it in investing terms. I know it can seem very far ahead, but remember, if you're just joining, you already missed out when we entered around 15,000. And remember, the real sheep, and the pigeons, they will enter the market once we break through the previous all-time high. And then they will, come in with all their fine and good money, and we will enjoy it, and we will diversify, and we will also do some meme coins and some, whatever trend there's going to be, until we're then going to exit the market and front run the sheep. And I know we shouldn't be talking bad about them, but it is also about that we take or make sure that their coins get into our pockets, right? And that's just how that is. Anyway, yep. I like those sheep. So let's see, what do we have here? Remember last time we were talking about patient Tory, right? Now, when I go in here and look, it's currently trading at 0.0069, at least on CoinMarketCap. And when did you and I talk about it? It was on the 3rd, right? Where it was, so it's gone up 100%, even though this is this you should not really take as anything solid. Maybe it was somebody put in a volume of $1,000. There's very little volume, but I do believe in this health. Let me know if any of you got into patient Tory. Then have a quick look what's going on the market here. Let's see here in the last 24. Kala, okay, is there anything I don't want to? And 7 days. You see Mantra. This is Mantra. It's not Manta, but Mantra. Mantra DAO and the token, and it's at 16 cents. That's quite a lot. Also, if we go in here, maybe this is interesting. Let's just look at our portfolio. Scroll down. I always think it's valuable for you guys. I mean, obviously, to see the ones that haven't really are not too deep in the money yet, right? And as we can see here, Energy Web token. We talk about that every time. Litentry. But I wanted to also I wanted to go down here and look at, because Mantra has really been good. Oh, this is the Polkadot portfolio. Sorry, guys. Here we go. This is a portfolio 2023. And I wanted to see did any of you follow our mantra advice? Because I mean, this is the second time we are really making money on this, and it's just a little, just always good to see. Already up 620%, right? Not bad, even though I don't know if this is going to be one of the market leaders. I also have to point that out. Okay, guys, if there's any questions about the coins, because today there's so many news, so I don't want to go too much into the coins. And you anyway know which coins we have, right? And our portfolio, and we don't change too much. So let's see who is here, and anybody has, if you want to have a little chit chat, let me know. So what do we have here? I can see we got all the all the lions and all the administrators here. We got 19 viewers. We are truly the littlest crypto channel on the interweb. Who is here? Vax, all my good friends. Vax is here. Sandra, lots of love to you. And Thomas is here. And Immigrant Son, good to see you. Christian, and yes, we hear you. That's very good. And what do you, blockchain bully? I'm gonna ask Shahid. Shahid, he knows just the same with me. I think Shahid and I. If I'm not here, you can just ask Shahid, because he knows it probably just as good, if not better, than I do. So let's see. And CryptoStan and blockchain bully, is always good to see you. Okay, guys, then let's move on and see what you think about these news, because I can see this is really all the lions here. All the littlest but the best. Thank you. And Dennis also here. Let's run through it and see what you think about these news. It's also, so we can, what's going on currently is a terrible thing. Anyway, let's jump over them. So South Korea regulator is discussing spot Bitcoin ETF with the SEC chief, Gary Gensler. And you see, I do believe that after Second World War, right? We did see, obviously we know that the United States, they came out as, the glorified winners. And I don't think that there's any distinction if you look at the US empire, South Korea, and for that matter, very much Japan are just, let's say, what are they? They are just frontmen, puppets. They do exactly what the US is telling them. But nevertheless, of course, when we are talking about Bitcoin ETFs, and I also said all of us that were invested prior to the launch or the SEC approval in Bitcoin, we are on the right side of history, right? Because this is really probably the biggest thing that has happened in crypto since, ever, right? So if South Korea is going to come in, and Hong Kong and China, I mean, this is just great. Let's go ahead and have a look here. What at the Bitcoin ETF tracker? How much do we have? Volume do we have? No, 29 billion market cap. Well, yeah. So slowly growing, but also not not as quick as we would all like. If we look at the Ethereum, then of course, let's see here. The spot ETFs are pending. I actually think, for some reason, I could imagine that once we get the ETF approval for Ethereum, this could be a catapult for, really for the overall market. People would have expected Bitcoin, but I could imagine that this would kind of really, this could be the let's say the start go to breaking through the previous all-time high. So yeah, so it's just another confirmation. And as we spoke about last time, Donald Trump, do you think he's gonna, I'm not gonna ask if you think he's gonna win, because I think that we all know that if it's gonna go to a legit election, he would win. But do you think he's going to be the next president of the United States? Do you think Trump is actually going to be the president of the United States in 2025? I doubt it. I hope so. I really do. But I doubt it. I think something's going to happen. And that's also why I like to add these here, my geopolitical, fear or things that we should think about. So anyway, so Donald Trump, he called artificial intelligence dangerous and scary. And we know, together with Maria Bartiromo. Anyway, and he highlighted the power of deep fakes to do anything from create false product endorsement to change the tide of war. Something has to be done about this, and it has to be done fast. Saying AI was maybe the most dangerous thing out there of anything because there's no real solution. And during the interview, Trump continued his attacks on CBDCs, calling them a very dangerous thing. And I think just for the fact that he is calling out and really recognizing what's really going on in the world, he's not so much woke, or, he's not really riding this woke whatever cycle as the mainstream media would like everyone to be a part of. And thank God for that. Thank God for that. By the way, we also know that Tucker Carlson is in Russia, and there are rumors that he's gonna be interviewing Putin. That would be big. I don't think Tucker will be allowed back in the US, but in case he can't go, the normal way, he can always go the immigrants' way, right? Through Mexico. Chainlink unlocks 19 million tokens. In the last 7 days, the performance of Link is exceptional, experiencing over 36% upside momentum. So on day 19 million Link tokens, valued at 341 million, were unlocked from 3 of Chainlink's non-circulating supply contracts. Anyway, you can also go here, but I think it's only a matter of time until Link is a heavyweight. It's a blue chip. Remember, Chainlink is an oracle porting real-world data onto the blockchain, and basically every project and everyone that has a little bit of, that really relies on real-world data is working with Chainlink. And so Chainlink is that one of those projects that is the ultimate undisputed heavyweight market leader. So also sometimes we don't talk enough about it, but don't forget Chainlink is amazing. And it's also, I think, it's for what that's worth, it's Chico's, one of Chico's main holdings. I like Chico, right? So this is maybe also if you are the holders of Aptos, the Sandbox, ApeCoin, Manta Network, Avalanche, or Optimism, because over 870 million worth of tokens is going to be unlocked in February. So they're going to be unlocked, and they are then set to enter circulation. So what this could have an effect, it could have a short-term effect that you will see these coins dip, and it could also be an opportunity to really enter into some of these coins. And I mean, if I should just, they're all good, right? But if I were to look for something, Optimism, we are already owning Optimism since they launched, but I would not be sad to increase position there for sure. So let me know what you think about them. And so what is the next here? Fed's Powell says US on unsustainable fiscal path. And okay, let's rest. So Jerome Powell is warning the United States is on an unsustainable fiscal path, with debt currently outpacing growth in the broader economy. And we all know, right, that the monetary system globally is a joke. And we also know that a monetary system backed by nothing is fraud. And as long as you can keep printing, and you can print and then you got other players around the world, like Japan buying all the bonds when the US needs it, and the European Union, it's all built on sand, and this monetary system is bound to implode, and it's only a matter of time. When we historically analyze fiat-based monetary systems, usually it's around 100 years. 100-year cycle is how long you can kind of keep it going. And remember, the Federal Reserve was launched, was it in 1913? And we have now 2024. And when is it? You see, here in the real world, 2 and 2 are 4, right? So you and I, we do believe that 2 and 2 are 4. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. And up is up and down is down, god damn it. And math doesn't lie. So when and for yourself, calculate once the government will not be able to sustain the interest payments on the outstanding debt, that's usually when it implodes. And that is also why I believe that we are seeing this entire blockchain future of finance, CBDC, being built, because the deep state, the people behind the curtain, obviously are aware that a fiat-based system backed by nothing, has an expiry date, and it's just around the corner. So they probably also want to, make the people aware that there's, transition coming. Anyway, that's why I think that that's what's going to happen. We're going to see the traditional financial system implode, and finance on the blockchain is going to be kind of the savior. And it's like I like that Jerome Powell, he's taking this grandpa position, like, oh, you gotta be careful, even though, I mean, he's the I wouldn't say, he's the devil, you could kind of say, right? Anyway, and then here, this other part of this article. The price of Bitcoin stumbled late last week when the Fed left interest rates at 5.25, 550, and the central bank dashed hopes of any rate cuts in March, saying that it would need greater confidence that inflationary pressure had been dealt with before doing this. Now, if there's one thing what I think, and that is there's no correlation between Bitcoin and the traditional financial markets. I mean, the traditional financial markets are anyway only built on nothing. It's a circus. It's a spectacle, right? But please, there's still so little money in the cryptocurrency industry that don't look at this and, it goes down 25 basis point, up 25 basis point. That's why now we're going to see a huge increase. That's at least my opinion. And I just, food for thought. Now let's get into some of the geopolitical news. There's so many, but here's some of the top ones. Now, first of all, BRICS. I'm a big believer in BRICS, and I also do believe that the BRICS is the foundation of the new world order, not the new world order that the deep state is talking about, or the elite, but the new world order where we are going to have a multipolar world order. And you do know the BRICS, right? And you do know that the BRICS now have a larger GDP than Europe and the US, and it is basically the BRICS. The founding members were Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. But they're growing and growing and growing. Iran is there, and Saudi Arabia is there, and many others. Anyway, and they just met here, I think, 2 weeks ago. So coinciding with the BRICS overall de-dollarization, right? They are also actually, trying to do everything they can to crash the US hegemony. So the de-dollarization plans is 20 nations have adopted the Russian payment system to ditch the US dollar. Indeed, the country has said that its alternative to SWIFT already has more than 159 foreign participants. And remember, when the special military operation started in Ukraine and Russia, then the West, they told Russia that you cannot be part of SWIFT anymore. No. Bad, Putin. Oh yeah, I know. I've got to say he's bad. Foo. But it seems like they're doing fine, establishing their own party. And it seems their party is a lot more fun to be at. Anyway, so a similar infrastructures exist in some other countries, and they are holding discussions on the interaction of such platforms. But here the interest and technical readiness of our partners are important. So this was the Russian central bank governor Elvira who said that. And I also think that this, let's say, the Russian or the BRICS SWIFT system is obviously also going to interact with their launch of the CBDC, because somehow CBDC is a non-political issue. Remember, when it comes to the CBDC, China and America and Russia and even Hamas, everyone and their grandmother agree that CBDCs, that's what we need. Even General Salam al-Salami from the Houthis, he's also all about the CBDCs. Yep, CBDCs. So of course we should also pay attention why are there no, disagreements about that. You can think about that. The next piece of information is actually quite interesting, and this is something that we haven't really seen in mainstream media. Now, a top commander from Iran came out and said Iran, Russia, and China are to stage joint naval exercises. And remember the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is basically the counterpart to NATO. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization is basically what NATO is for the West. SCO is for the BRICS. So anyway, they're going to hold joint naval exercises in March, and Shahram Irani noted that other countries were also invited to participate in the exercise. They should be held at the end of the year according to the Iranian calendar, which will end in March. And the purpose of the exercise is to work out situations to ensure regional security in the common interest. So, let's see. It's not good what is happening, but at least, it's terrible in a way, but it is, is the quietness before the storm? I don't know. Furthermore, Putin, he also came out and said that the latest Russian weapons are superior to NATO. So he's saying that their defense industry has been demonstrating, and we very much know that the battlefield here in Ukraine is the playground for introducing new military capabilities. And so he said that they've demonstrated very good pace and quality of work. And in his opinion, if we compare modern NATO weapons and weapons of the last period of the Soviet era, they are inferior in some ways, but not always. However, if we take our latest weapons, then they are clearly superior to everything. This is an obvious fact. Again, food for thoughts. Then I want to, so this is also funny. So the US, and now we're going back to, going to the Middle East, what's going on there with Hamas and Israel. And so recently the United States, UK, and among 9 countries have paused funding to UNRWA, which is the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees. So, they're simply pausing. So what are they saying here? The agency known as is entrusted with moving much needed humanitarian, no weapons or something, into Gaza, which has been under intense bombardment by the Israel Defense Forces in its mission to annihilate Hamas militants after the October strike. Now, the countries that have paused funding include the United States, Germany, United Kingdom, Australia, Italy, Canada, Finland, and the Netherlands. And Japan, they also then came out and said, they have also decided to suspend additional funding, right? It's funny how Japan always follow suit what the United States do. As I said in the beginning. Now, another funny thing. So while no more rice and milk and water and all those things that they need down there, and in one sense, I have to say, I mean, at least General Salam al-Salami is fighting for peace and prosperity and for the Palestinian people. This we have to admit. Yep, even though it's not so charming the way he speaks. So, what was interesting, however, last week, right, the EU, they agreed to a 54 billion Ukrainian aid package. So, while the US are not allocating anymore to Ukraine and after they're almost, 200 billion, But anyway, the European leaders agreed to 54 billion. Now, it is for the next 4 years, and it's actually kind of interesting the way that they are saying that this money should be spent. We will look at that in a second if we have time for that. Now let's go and look at that now. Here, because it does come with some, let's say, conditions. So they 50 billion, 54 billion dollars, and the aid package, let's see, over a 4-year period. So, and it is not intended, and this is maybe interesting, it's not intended to fund arms and ammunition, which fall under a separate EU plan. Instead, it aims to stabilize Ukraine's economy after nearly 2 years of fighting, pay for rebuilding, and set the country up for future EU membership. So, what? Yeah, let's just read this sentence here, because there are many funny things if you actually read between the lines, right? So the package will help Kiev plug budget gaps while avoiding the skyrocketing inflation seen in the first months after Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022. Ukraine lost a third of its economic output to wartime destruction and occupation by Moscow, which took over the main heavy industry hubs in the east. And everything else, north, south, and west, was taken over by BlackRock. But okay. Anyway, so the central bank, had to print money to cover state expenses, and inflation went up. But this is what the money is for: paying state salaries and pensions, ensuring smooth power and water supplies, and keeping other public services running. It's very gracious of the EU, right? All the humanitarian, sympathy. It has to be said that those 54 billion, obviously, the majority of that is given as a loan facility. It's credit, right? It's got to be paid back somehow. Supporting the currency is also what they need to use that money for. Safety net for foreign investments in Ukraine. I think that's probably the majority what it's going to be used for. It's because there's a huge, let's say, wave of privatizations that's going on here in Ukraine. Everything is being sold. It's a fire sale. Everything that is worth something has already been sold. And it's also funny that the lady that is head of the privatization here in the Ukrainian government, she's like, I think 31 or something, and she's just a wunderkind, as they call it, Olga. She just knows a thing or two about privatization. Anyway, so she is auctioning everything off. So I can imagine that this money is going to be spent wisely, safety net for foreign investments. So somebody here, Yevgeny, he told the German broadcaster Deutsche Welle that Kiev will use some of the aid to provide insurance and stable financing for foreign investments, including plants that produce arms and ammunition. That is just good. Here we got this lovely looking fella. What else? Yeah, I know, he welcomed all that money. So that is basically what that's going to be spent on. And so let's get back to here. Another piece of interesting information here is van der Leyen. You know her, that's the unelected president of the European Union. And it was very funny, I think 2 or 3 days ago, she was so happy that the European Council delivered on their priorities, supporting Ukraine. A good day for Europe, she tweeted. And so President Ursula von der Leyen on Thursday, as EU farmers high-fived her by throwing eggs, lighting fires, and dumping shit in Brussels. And where reported 1,300 tractors had gathered in protest. Now, yeah, surely must have been a great day for Europe, right? Anyway, so this is this woke thing that we're going through. It's very interesting. last year I was sharing this page with you where we could actually follow live protests. This is the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. But it's funny when you go in there, they're not really being 100% truthful about what's going on. For example, I don't know if you can see it. Let's try to make it a little bit bigger, and then maybe you can go in. If you go in here and you look at France, right? So then you press down, and this is what currently is going on, and this is the farmers' protest. And I like here, there's more than 1,000 participants. More than 1,000. That's not a whole lot, right? But then if you scroll down here and look in Germany, they had a protest in Germany, more than 1 million. But this was, of course, the people that are anti the new opposition party that looks to going to play a dominant role in the future politics of Germany. And from my point of view, AfD is only stating that 2 and 2 are 4. A man is a man and a woman is a woman, and we shouldn't spend all that money on wars in Ukraine. But of course, now they're being portrayed as everyone who's not woke as a right-wing extremist. So there was more than 1 million people that went out and said, "Oh no, we don't want logic and rationality where we can't have that." So anyway, if you go in and you look at this page here, I thought last year that it was true, but here we can really see it's just another piece of tool from mainstream media that lies and lies and lies. Because I guess even if you go in here and we look at the French farmers' protest, I mean, all over France, it was chaotic, and there was for sure more than 1,000 people. And what else do we have? I wanted to show you this here. And also we can see, I mean, all across, I guess you are also following this. I would like to speak a little bit more about this, but this is really going on across Europe, and my support and love goes out to the farmers across the globe. It really does. We can see here across the globe, it's all over the place, right? Anyway, guys, this is about it. What I wanted to say, and then I think we are finished. And let's see. I can see there's a question, and that's also good. Let's go to the chit chat. Vex, okay, that's good. I will look at Python network can compare with the link. We got to look into that. Thank you so much, because I'm behind and doing my research. What do you say, Jose Marcus? Trying to get into PTOY, but the spread's too large and sellers don't want to bridge. Yeah. This is, I mean, yeah, that is what that's another thing. I mean, a lot of these coins, they have so little, and Patient Tory has, of course, very, very little volume, very little liquidity. So it's also for you an exercise where you understand how it is for the big institutions that are sitting on billions and billions, how they are trying to enter and fill their, let not say their pockets, but their wallets with coins, only so that it can offload them once we're seeing the market go up. So consider yourself, that's why I think with Patient Toy, consider yourself a big institutional fund manager. You got these $200, and the only way that you can allocate your $200 in order to get, in order not to manipulate the price is by doing it slowly and slowly and slowly. And so it's actually, you learn much more doing that. And then you will also understand that all this, what a big factor liquidity actually plays. You see, we have talked a lot, especially here, about, Wyckoff, right? We spoke a lot about the Wyckoff accumulation cycles and how they are, these cycles are basically trying to identify what the big institutions are doing. And that's why we have these cycles where we saw the Bitcoin, from the top to bottom around, 1,400 days. And then because that's when while the price is going down, the institutions are averaging in. And that's also why that only once we're going to go through the previous all-time high, I call them pigeons and sheep, they're going to come in. It's not because the milk lady and the taxi man by themselves are looking at the price of Bitcoin and saying, oh, now maybe it's a good... No, it's because the people that are manipulating the prices, they are then using the mainstream media as a tool in order to advise Sister Shelly and Brother Jamal, look at Bitcoin, look at Bitcoin, look at Bitcoin. That's also why I always say, when the mainstream media are at their loudest promoting cryptocurrencies to the moon, that's when we exit. Anyway, Panas, good evening and good night. But production, but buy yourself. I think this Peter could be interesting. I bought a few for Betty. Remember, I own nothing, and I'm pretty happy. Guys, that's it from me. Remember, I love you. Tomorrow will be the last stream until the 3rd of March. So we're gonna do a bit of a summary, and then of course, for you boxing fans. Tyson Fury, was that cut? Of course, there are many questions, right? It's also funny that phone that was recording it was an old school phone. But I've been looking into, Francis Nagano. And I think one of you wrote that Francis is going to win. And I think he's going to fucking knock out Anthony Joshua. I think it was a terrible decision for Anthony Joshua to fight Francis Nagano. Anyway, let me know what you think, and I will see you tomorrow. I love you, and that's all I can say about that. Because we are lions. Anyway, see you tomorrow.